Okay. All right, everyone. There was an issue um, with my phone when I was recording this, so now I'm recording this from my laptop, part two. The might of a united species. Okay. Hopefully, it's audible. You guys can hear me. Okay. So, guys, to be honest, the whole lecture is about my fascination with what would a united human species look like. Right now, the species is not united. We are nationalistically united. It's pretty much like, if you know how they say in battle, divide and conquer. Like if we were our own opponent, we would we would be at an advantage, because human beings right now, think of it this way. Think of it this way, that nations are big boxes, and inside these boxes there's like organizations, and those are like smaller boxes inside the big box. And then inside those organizations, okay, or institutions of society, okay, there is in some sense humans, and then imagine each human being a box. So I'm trying to say that it's like you're not just only simulating your own value. Do you know? So why is it that when two people look at a work of art, it could mean two different things? So you are simulating the value to your perception. Okay. Now the question is, why are we still valuing our perception in the sense that we're identifying with the chunk of land, like just how primitive tribes would put paint on their face? We just put the paint on a flagpole instead, and we all acknowledge it's on our face. But on another level, the reason I'm so casually talking about surpassing the species of being at a point of surpassing nationalism, it's because of what's coming next. And I don't know how to say it, but it's like you. Okay, I'll give you an example. You see like a bird fly right in front of you. um, that's an event. That's like a physical event. But what that means, what that signifies, is something different. So what I'm trying to say is, a part of you, yes, is physical, is accessing a physical situation, but a part of you is also seeing meaning to that situation, and that meaning is emergent from you specifically at first. So think of it this way. Even me, I'll use myself as an example. I'm here trying to give a talk, right? So I'm starting off in my own box. Okay, when I was born, I started in my own box. Reality has been in this box. Okay, and it took me some time to get rid of the unnecessary emotions I had attached to my own box, to be able to see that, all right, it's just a box. That means it took me a while to be like, excuse me, it took me a while to be like, all right, man, I'm just a variation of the human, among the human species. I'm just one variation of what a human being could be like. You know? But where I'm going with this is that I'm saying, what does this imply about a species uniting if every person is giving their own meaning to what they see in reality? So at some point, you have to extract meaning beyond your world room. Okay? Excuse me, not beyond your world room, beyond your own world, your inner life. So what I'm saying is, like, you're living a physical outer life. You don't realize your mind is living ahead of your body. It is overlaying a subjective character and a story, meaningful life over this physical life. Okay? To the degree that if I ask you who you are, you're going to tell me an abstract name, and then you're going to tell me an abstract story, as close as possible, hopefully, to what you've actually experienced there. So what I'm saying is that the problem is, how do 8 billion human, what would the great potential of a united species look like? And the species, in some sense, cannot unite until every individual chooses to step out of their own world, out of their own ego code, and to begin noticing there are greater values. I think, I believe that, yes, physically being born, that's like a birth. Being conscious is also like another birth, but I believe there is another birth. It's like a rebirth, not per se in a religious sense, more in like your role as a human being on earth sense. Okay. So I'll give you an example. um, right now, imagine I have a specific, I look at life and it has a specific meaning for me, and I'm not flexible. I'm just like, no, what I see is absolute truth. That only allows anybody else who wants to connect with me to have to adjust to my reality. It's like what narcissists do. I'm saying the species is demonstrating narcissism in the sense that every person is just residing in their own bubble of value, not realizing the world is so much bigger than all the ways you've considered it. I'm trying to tell you that once you realize that to be a human being is like a certain intelligent system at a certain level, okay, with certain abilities and with certain capabilities and also incapabilities. So I'm saying, like, first we got to get the species to stop worshiping itself, then it has to look at what it has in common. What you have in common with every other human being is what you see in the mirror. You're a member of the human species, the human form. If they told me, hey man, why did 8 billion soldiers suddenly appear in a battlefield dressed the same, I'd be like, okay, if there's 8 billion beings dressed in the human fashion, we're in some sense in the human position, it's obvious that we're here for a collective event. So it's obvious that the value of your life is not to yourself when you physically exist to other people. And I'm saying, like, to be honest, if it was just my own world, do you know what I mean? I wouldn't have to do anything. If I was trapped in an island, I would give any sort of meaning to the world I like. But right now, why am I in a city with human beings that are living their daily lives, in some sense working for their future selves, which they never can fully comprehend if you don't know what you are now? You see, life went from like, I had an attitude of it like, what does it mean, yo? Like some sort of naive fool that is thinks that life can be contained in a noun. It's a freaking verb. It's a dynamic verb. Every moment of your life, every moment you have access to perception, in some sense, you are knowing those perceptions, meaning you're rendering known variables. And at the same time, there's always unknown variables. And intentionally, you're placed in a system for this world to show you that the reality behind your eyes is, excuse me, the truth behind the reality in front of your eyes surpasses the truth that the reality behind your eyes convinces you of. And you cannot tell me that an advanced civilization is not the coolest thing that can happen. I don't even care if you do an analysis. It's like every person you see in your life, everyone, they're all trying to advance themselves. Everybody's advancing themselves, and they're using their mind's ability of the future to do so. And I'm just saying, hey guys, if you look at most people, they're thinking about, what am I going to do in the 100 years of life I'm here? What am I going to do for myself? Self worshippers. I'm telling you, they've hypnotized you in zooming on yourself your whole life, so you miss out on what's actually going on. It is so easy to deceive people nowadays. Just compliment them. Just make them feel as if their world is the only truth, and you win. Sun Tzu in The Art of War says, in war, when forces are trying to destroy each other, when there's opponents, deception is the art of war. Those who can deceive are good at war. In the same way, like somebody who has talent for piano, right? When it comes to war, where ethics is pushed aside because like kingdoms are at war, they had to use deception. But at the same time, the general that was aligned to the heavens, it doesn't see a person can deceive honestly. We are the human species. This is it. This is what we're left with. I want you, whoever you are, the next time you step out of your home and you go and you walk outside, I want you to wonder about how you are valuing this world. Human beings are funny. They live for values they don't understand, simply because they have to live, because the body needs to survive. But for me, it just occurred, man, like, yo, is this really the true advancement, the true might, the true greatness of our species? To hide in its abstract caves, not realizing that to advance civilization, we must become advanced. We must live in advanced ways. To live as a nationalistic entity with your own self created backstory, self generated backstory, is not the most advanced way you can live. The most advanced way, I think, at least for this phase in history we're in right now, the most advanced way is you starting to feel things collectively. For example, somebody says, like most people, like let's say the most basic kind of person lives for themselves, and also for that which is allowed themselves to be, which means they live for their family. So right now, the thing I'm saying, I want 8 billion people to demonstrate in the presence of 8 billion other people, right? Is the same feeling. I'm pretty much saying that the same feeling you have of protecting your family, defending your family, serving this value that is just greater than you, it will happen for the species. And for all those people in human civilization who you feel alone, who you feel you have no one, you feel you're part of nothing, you feel your life's passing by and what was the value of it? Its value is found in what you truly care for. That's it. They say you need to live a life on earth. They don't say that some parts of it you need to design and you need to select. I pretty much chose, like, yo, man, is living for yourself more exciting? Is just living for your family more exciting? Or is living for the human species much more of a mightier vibe than just solving your own problems? For me, you don't understand the joy it brings to me when in these talks I feel like I'm looking at like the code of a civilization and wondering about the progress of civilizational intelligence. It has become clear to me that all progress, just like all inventions, the inventor saw the invention behind its eyes and brought it forth in front of its eyes. Now, guess what? Your most advanced self will feel like that to you. You will feel, how would I say it? You will feel like you're accessing more of what you're seeing. Trust me, if I didn't have my mind, like my inner realms, it would probably take a very long time for me to start caring for the species. It's just the fact that I've wondered, like, just like a human being, like you right now, whoever you're a human being, you're planning ahead of your life. right? Now I'm saying, is the species planning for what's ahead, or is it an adolescence just enjoying its space, thinking that it has higher supervision, not realizing its own responsibility? The whole point of life is that as you experience more and become more of a sophisticated person, your abilities become more sophisticated. It's like wondering what would someone better than me look like or be like, and then wondering what would 8 billion people like. I've visualized it. I've it was very difficult, not very difficult, but emotionally a bit turbulent, but I had to envision, and I was like, yo man, what if God suddenly said, everybody on earth advance instantly except me? I had that thought once. And I was like, it doesn't matter if the humanity, if our species wins the war, it doesn't matter if we lost a couple battles. It doesn't matter if there's casualties, because what were the casualties for? What were the our ancestors living for? Were they just living for us to open our eyes in this world and not care for it? Highly unlikely. I'm trying to tell you that this whole time you've been conditioned in civilization 1.0, which has made you devoid of an honor for your species. That means if a human being can hate another human being, you have not found the honor of your species yet. If you're loving people blindly, you have not found the love of the honor of your species yet. Honor means it's a greater ideal. It means the conduct, the activities of our species are greater in value than just our own activity. And pretty much from the individual human perspective, you've entered a world room for some time and you're going to leave it. It's all about a matter of, are you going to update this place before you leave, or is it going to be worse? Is the world going to be a worser place after you've left it, or is it going to be a better place? And what was your capability? What was your ability? Do you know I have a regret, but that hasn't come about yet? And do you know what that regret is? That regret, I shouldn't say regret, but it's that feeling that if suddenly this was the last moment I was alive, would I feel that I exerted the most advanced expression of my being before I die? And then I ask, in some, do you understand? It's like you can't give yourself and let me tell you this: you cannot. This is the sorrow. This is the sadness. This is the lament of, I think, every podcaster, every person who's communicated, beyond their lifetime. That in some sense, I will not be here when sky cities are rising into the air for the first time. I, but can I serve the future that I will not be a part of? Can we be wise and plant trees that we will not be enjoying their shade? You see, the advancement of humanity is this weird thing that even though you have a value for 100 years in this life, you can do something valuable for whatever this is going to be. You have parents living for their children. Do you know? And then those children growing up and living for their parents in the same way the relationship with the advanced civilization should be. When the child is young, the civilization would be like prime time to advance this being. In an advanced civilization, if the like advanced AI is going to come and see like your child has a gift for something, an automatic scholarship, immediately take that intelligence to the front lines of reality. Do you know? It's like, how many Einsteins are there that nobody got to read their essays? And in the future, we might be able to find one Einstein and clone them. For me, I more and more as time goes on, I'm realizing what this project of mine is. I'm realizing what my faith has watered, what sort of seed it has watered, what this is growing into. It's pretty much, I think a part of me was like, hey man, you can't speak to 8 billion human beings, you can't advance civilization alone. And it's like and as one person, and I was like, okay, so I need an army. Okay, now I because I was a shy introverted person and somebody who I think that sometimes I think that sometimes I don't think I'm the, I don't know, I could be too much. I could be too much when I think about like personal through a personal context. But what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to get to is that I cannot ignore out of my honest conscience the fact that the human species behind its eyes has accessed more advanced probabilities to reality than it's currently in. It's kind of like they show you something better, then they take it away, and then they're like, what do you want? And I'm like, okay, system admin, okay, God, you showed me behind my eyes probabilities to current civilization, but why did you do so? And so because I couldn't, in some sense, I think this is my soul's strategy. I think my soul was like, all right, man, you're gonna go on Earth and you're gonna, in some sense, create an army of your past versions of self living for values beyond them, beyond themselves at the time. And so in in some sense, I've like, this might be weird, I am in no way like a general of an army, but I am a human being that has created like around 2,300 versions of him, of his past selves. I realized early on that some things in life, big projects, you gotta pretty much bit by bit every day just contribute to it. But to be honest, what is the game? What is the game the human being is playing? What is this Earth game? And let me be that person to explain a version of it, a way of it to you. I believe that we're in this multiplayer online game. Instead of a 2D pixelated screen, it's a three-dimensional. It's three-dimensional, and it's made of, instead of pixels, it's made of the periodic table. It's made of elements. It's made of particles. Okay, and in the same way that somebody is sitting at a computer table and playing this like fictional avatar of themselves, I in the same way I believe the soul behind the screen of reality and is playing this game. The software is your mind and your experiences so far. Excuse me. The hardware is the physical reality, the biological body. So it's like my body is the hardware. Let's say my mind is the software. My soul is the user, and what living life seems to be is in some sense like this higher soul animating the spirit of itself in a lower realm, in order to be able to use it. So, in the same way, language is a lesser technology, yet we use it, or it's like, you know what I'm saying? Human beings use technologies that they're superior to. And I find that the soul, I feel this body of mine is a video game avatar. It's simulated. I've logged in. I've just logged in. Every day I wake up, I log back into this. If somebody says, Mr. Within, how are you truly living in this life? I'll be honestly, guys, like, sure, there's the whole, there's so many programs you got to like kind of engage with throughout the day. But honestly, I'm pretty much just waking up, looking at the situation again, wondering about the clues and wondering what else do I see that I did not see yesterday. The first sentence I wrote, that I knew I was a writer, and I wrote it down, and I on a printer paper, and I taped it to the wall. This was in 2012, 11 or something. I wrote, I don't want to live in a world that looks the same the next day, which means every day of your life, how are you expanding your inner horizons? Be very cautious in this world, folks. It loops. It freaking loops. So many things loop, yet we can notice it looping as if we have access to a novelty. In other words, the greatest thing you can do for yourself is not the greatest thing you can do. The greatest thing you can do is to serve your species while you're dressed for the part. I used to have this view similar to like yogis and Vedantists, that you can just go AFK, as identify with non-dualistic awareness and just be as if the world is moving you before you need to. And that was an error. I am that person who probably may be in the list of the one out of like the 100 people who've explained Buddhism like in in a very unique and interesting way in previous lectures. But now I understand what the Buddha could not see. The Buddha valued the presence of energy more than the activity of energy. You're here to be active, you're here to be an entity. You're here to be specifically a member of the human species. And not only humanity should step into uncharted territories, but we build staircases in where people never imagined exist. That is the advancement of humanity. The most advanced civilization is a civilization, technically, where the individuals are aware of each other's blind spots. In an advanced civilization, we would not be waiting, turning on the TV and hearing news about, like, yo, man, this disaster happened, that disaster happened. We're going to turn on the news and it's going to be like this advance, this advance, this advance, this advance. You're going to feel the spirit of a species becoming responsible for its future. You're now part of an immature species, irresponsible of its future. You're just responsible for your own small future. That's the problem with the ego. It thinks it's safe by being alone. Now, I'm going to go to AI. I'm going to ask it, give me examples of advanced ways humans will go on to unite as a species. Explain it to me like how you would explain the French Revolution. No, here I'm saying, explain it to me like how you would explain revolutions happening in history or important events. So here are examples of the future revolutions that will unite humanity by AI. Wait. Um, all right. Okay, guys. Whatever. I asked it. The prompt, there was an issue with it, so he gave another one. Here, it's gonna. I'm just gonna read it. One. So I'm reading AI examples of how humanity will realistically unite. It says one, planetary constraint convergence, PCC, thesis. Environmental limits will act as a forcing function driving planetary coordination. So, guys, look at how funny it is that all our ancestors messed up, so it would be a reason for us to unite to fix it. Description: as Earth's carrying capacity reaches its limits, resource scarcity, climate collapse, and biosphere feedback loops, for example, permafrost, methane, Amazon dieback, will render national solutions ineffective. Global survival will require planetary scale management systems. Mechanism of unity: creation of Earth systems, governance bodies with actual enforcement power, use of Earth observation AI, satellite constellations, and climate DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations to manage water, carbon, and biodiversity collectively. Treaties will evolve into hard protocols enforced via quantum blockchain, not trust. Status already in motion. See IPCC 6 Assessment Report 2021, Stockholm Resilience Center's Planetary Boundaries Model, UN and quotations are Common Agenda 2021, and Earth for All projections. Two, information singularity and global sentience. Thesis: general AI and synthetic cognition will force a unification of human systems to maintain control, ethics, and alignment. Description: within 500 to 100 years, artificial general intelligence (AGI) will surpass human individual cognition. Maintaining alignment between AGI and human values will require a species level consensus infrastructure, because localized national ethical standards will fragment in the face of autonomous, self evolving systems. Yeah. So, do you know what that means? That means right now, human beings are doing the problem solving. In the future, AI, a self evolving AI, would be doing the problem solving. Human beings just need to agree on policies. I said this, I predicted this years ago. It came out in a talk that human beings will not be voting on political leaders for the leaders to make decisions. Advanced AI for each nation is going to give them the most advanced possible policies. And there just needs to be consensus. I mean, even though, so think of it this way: we're going to be selecting a leader. So nations will still have leaders, but those leaders will all sit in one room. AI would give advanced probabilities to possibilities, and then they would be like, all right, do we all agree on this? Let's take a vote. You know? To continue reading, mechanism of unity, establishment of global AGI governance coalitions with trans-sovereign authority, development of a universal ethics architecture maintained by AI evolved constitutions, mandatory value alignment protocols for all entities connected to the AGI substrate, status emerging. See OpenAI's Super Alignment Initiative, DeepMind's Constitutional AI in quotation, Global Partnership on AGI, AI, GPAI. There's an institution, Stuart Russell, Bostrom, Tegmark on AI X risk. 3. Unified infrastructure and identity protocols. Thesis: the digitization of all human systems will produce a single global nervous system requiring integrated identity and law. Description: as finance, health, governance, and learning shift to fully digital ecosystems, fragmentation of standards become untenable. A shared infrastructure, secure, decentralized, and trusted, will form the spinal cord of a unified humanity. Mechanism of unity. Global digital identity layer. Example, Web W3C's decentralized identifiers. Open law platforms for smart contract citizenship and global mobility rights. Global supply chain ledger to eliminate duplicated bureaucracy and theft. Status in development. C. World ID, WorldCoin. India's Aadhaar plus UPI stack. European digital identity wallet. UN legal identity agenda. 4. Neuropolitical and cognitive unification. Thesis: advances in neuroscience, consciousness studies, and brain-computer interface (BCI) will lead to shared subjective experience, blurring lines between self and species. I gave a talk on this, I think, a few days ago or yesterday. Description: neurotechnologies such as non-invasive BCIs, neural mesh, and mind state emulation will allow humans to directly share feelings, thoughts, and memory structures. This will erode barriers between individual and collective identity. That's so bizarre. That means we're living in the golden age. That means we're living in the golden age of human identity. Mechanism of unity, formation of networked empathy clusters, people sharing emotional cognitive states, emergence of trans-subjective political structures, governance based on felt consensus, not just rational voting. Oh, that would be key, because right now, if that was here, wars would probably stop globally. Cultivation of species level consciousness, reinforced by shared dreams, empathic experiences, and post-verbal communication. Status, preliminary stages. See Neuralink Synchron, Numenta's Thousand Brains theory, in quotations, integrated information theory, IIT, and global workspace theory, GWT. Description: establishing sustainable presence on Mars. Oh no, sorry. 5. Post-terrestrial recontextualization. Thesis: when humanity becomes multiplanetary, Earth itself will be recontextualized as a shared origin, and the species will adopt a higher order identity. Wow, yeah. This is very sci-fi. Description: stop, because it's the notion of, like, for example, if we had become multiplanetary, we would still be like, yo man, we were born on Earth. Like, we still don't have children born on Mars. Imagine the first child born on Mars that comes back to Earth, born and raised on Mars, comes back to Earth, and we like every podcaster like interviews him. Description. Oh no, I read that. Oh no, I didn't read it. Description: establishing sustainable presence on Mars, the Moon, the orbitals will force humans to operate under a unified Earth flag with synchronized logistics, governance, and ecological ethics. Looking back on Earth from another world will shift our civilizational identity from national to planetary. And guys, keep in mind, I'm going to say something here. Right now, in the International Space Station, how those human beings feel as at the frontiers of the progress of a species, that's how we all should be feeling. Mechanism of unity. International space settlement coalitions modeled after Antarctica Treaty, shared planetary constitution and legal structure for off-Earth humans, rise of Earth rise of Earth custodian identity, all citizens of Earth recognized as planetary stewards. Status, early stages, see Artemis Accords, NASA plus partners, SpaceX interplanetary colonization vision, ESA plus CNSA plans for lunar based governance. Meta theoretical summary. AI says humanity will unify, not through cultural assimilation or moral preaching, but through the structural convergence of complexity systems under stress. We are evolving into a distributed superorganism, and the architecture of that organism will emerge from necessity, not ideology. Ecology forces interdependence, AI forces value synchronization, digital infrastructure forces legal alignment, neurotechnology forces intersubjective integration, space forces existential humility. Wow. Final point. The probability of unification is no longer philosophical, it is systemic. Every global trend points towards interdependence as a survival prerequisite. Nationalism, while strong, is becoming structurally obsolete. The real question is whether the transition will be peaceful or catastrophic. Unity is not a utopia, it is a system condition of planetary intelligence in the 21st century and beyond. There you go, guys. It's been said. A human being has accessed these ideas on Earth. So this sentence here, this guys, this was the point of this lecture for us to be conscious of what I'm posting in the chat section. Okay, it's too big. All right, do it in parts. Okay, I'm gonna repost that. All right, we're done. I posted it, so you can look at the chat. It should also be in the description of the video too. So, my beloved species, we have we are entering situations that are new for the human species, and the reason I think we have been given we have been created, designed with the ability to envision what could happen in the future and readjust ourselves before it happens. That's like mercy from the system admin. And so far, to zoom in on this again, AI said humanity will unify not through cultural assimilation or moral preaching. So that means all those people screaming, "Stop the violence!" It's not going to be, just based on that. You know, that means it's not about the morality of it. It's not all agreeing something was effed up or not, because there's so many different value systems every individual has. Go back to the idea of how I told you every person's in their own box, inside a bigger box, inside a bigger box, eventually the world room. And it says, so humanity will unify not through cultural assimilation or moral preaching, even though I think a global culture has already emerged online, but it says, but through the structural convergence of complexity systems under, sorry, excuse me, but through the structural convergence of complexity systems under stress, we're evolving into a distributed superorganism, and the architecture of that organism will emerge from necessity, not ideology, right? And right now, see, this is even I'm learning something here too, that it's not just the ideas and the visions. It's not about just like saying, yo man, advance, everybody advance, and everybody's going to advance. It's about us actually confronting the structure, okay, of our civilization, and the complex, I guess, the complex situations it will go through. It's like really what it is. It's like, it's not you against the world, it's your species against all odds. The sooner you realize that, to me, I will tell you, the feeling I have had for living for my species, for serving the species, for caring for the future of all of this, has been a greater feeling than any spiritual experience of oneness and harmony with nature. That means, like, there are people right now on earth, they're like, I love this world. I'm a being filled with pure compassion. I love everything, the trees, the sky, and yet I'm going to sit in the mountains and meditate instead of building the civilization that in some sense is under attack by the ignorance of ourselves. There was a time where I would see somebody meditating by a tree and I was like, that guy's won in life. Now I look at it and I'm like, that guy has lost in life. Not because, in some sense, I'm saying be an egotistical entity in a space-time continuum, living for the possibilities of what could happen in your reality. Not because of that. It's because you cannot act like a soldier if you're not in a battlefield. You cannot say you're a great warrior if you're not in the war right now. You know? And so I treat it as if the species, there is no stupid or smart people. There's just a species that has not activated its awareness to its greater potential. That means if anybody has ever believed in you or your abilities, now it's time for you to believe in your species' ability. Every person can be more advanced in the same way. when I wake up and make an omelet for myself, there's somebody in Japan making an omelet in a more advanced version way than me, right? So in the same way, I know right now the way human beings are living, there could be a more advanced way we could be living. In the same way, there could be somebody else doing something specifically more advanced. In the same way, we can also fathom that there could be a more advanced way we could all be living right now. What if we didn't see it? What if we missed it? What if ignorance misdirected us? And now we notice. And do you know how mighty the presence of an army is? Like in this lifetime, I don't know how I know this. I don't know how I'm feeling this. But you don't know the might of an army. You don't understand the might of united minds. Now, AI is telling us, yo, guys, act as separate as you want. You're headed to a superorganism situation. Do you know what it means, guys? The last, I think, 3 days, I've come across such a depth that I've been you don't know. I still don't know how I feel about it. I still don't know how I, as a human being, feel about us being humans in this way as a phase in nature. Right now, the fact that my mind is not connected to yours, the fact that I'm occupying a different moment in the space-time continuum than you, the fact that I look completely different than you, the fact that I had a completely different conditioning than you. And then AI is like, guys, I don't know what to tell you. You guys are acting separately now. You're all acting like, you're all worshiping yourselves and highlighting your individualisms, but you don't understand your survival depends on your collectivity, and it's unavoidable because you as a species after the industrial age were in some sense were directed towards the information age, and now you have become an entity that you need more information than your body can access. And so, which means in the future, the body may become obsolete. As terrifying as that sounds, there is always a superior reality behind it. In the same way, Plato was like, no, if people start writing books, Plato thought writing was going to like mess up civilization. Marshall McLuhan thought the newspaper is going to make people stop caring about reading books. He wasn't wrong. And ultimately, you see, there have been, in some sense, great minds that have feared the future. And I noticed that's what they have in common, but that's why they were wrong. Right now, if I ask you, are you afraid of your future? What would you say? If you're listening in the chat section, give me an answer. Or even in the future, after I've given this talk, however long in the future, still write your answer in the comments. I fear the future in the same way that many people fear what they don't understand. If you right now had a time machine, went back to like your early ancestors and were like, yo, man, I'm your grandkids, they'll freak out and probably like kill you on the spot. Do you know? If you're like dressed in a suit, like they can't fathom, like any human beings have had this pattern of anything they don't understand, they either fight or flight. I see it even with my viewers. No offense to anybody listening, but I've seen it with viewers. Anytime I'm saying something or the imagery you don't understand, you move on to the next thing. You're demonstrating, you're proving my point that rather than understanding something completely and then moving on, the human being wants to just get novelty. That means you're being conditioned in some sense. I'm saying, for example, you're being conditioned by society, civilization. You're being conditioned to fear something you don't understand, but in your participation in it, the understanding activates. Okay. The best approach I've heard to fear is instantaneous response. Deal with your fear instantly, and deal with ignorance instantly. Fear is an ignorance, because in the same way a child was afraid, like Elon Musk has this interesting story where when he was a kid he was afraid of the dark, and then he read that it was an absence of photons in the space, and the understanding freed him from the emotion, from the abstraction the emotion was forging in his young mind, that made him fear. For me, I had a different approach. When I was super young, me and my brother had seen the film Signs, this alien film, and I was afraid, of just the possibilities in the abyss. And I went to my parents, and my mother, she told me, say the name of God 7 times. Just randomly, she told me that, right? And every night before I would go to sleep, anytime I had fear of anything, I would just say God's name 7 times. Do you know? I would even count with my fingers. I remember I was in my bed and I would count from my right hand going up to the left every night. Sometimes I would lose count of how many times I even said it. But I'm saying the point of it was that in the same way, we're just going towards that which gives us, um, that resolves the fear. I'm saying that pretty much my conclusion is that we have reached a time in history where 8 billion human beings need to need a new understanding. You don't need to just stand under the world, you need to understand it. So this understanding is important in identifying, I guess, the complexity systems, you know and yeah, maybe 300 years from now there's not going to be an individual to read a book about his people in history. I'm not surprised we are not moving even towards digital consciousness. It's a new human life, folks. you know the world is telling us that it just like I'm okay. How we have been living like a human being is like we're wearing a t-shirt, and we have outgrown the t-shirt. It doesn't fit us anymore. It is befitting to be in 2025, realize all the problems your species has, and to still identify with your differences. Let me tell you this. Why are there some people who are, for example, racist, and why are some people who are the opposite? Some people, when they see someone else, they immediately notice what's different about them from me. And then there's some people who see others and they're like, no, what's similar about that person to me? If you like someone, you want to have shared values. Do you know what I'm saying? If you dislike someone, you don't want to have like I'm telling you, the differences are important for us to be different individuals, to be able to be communicating to each other, where right now in 2025 it's not like one giant human organism is communicating to itself, but it's like 8 billion individuals behaving in a space that creates the spirit of a collective being. But I'm saying, like, there's so many ways that the future generations will see value to this world that we can't, and it astonishes me. It's honestly cool. It's such a cool feeling to look at life right now, like my eyes are open, I'm looking at this world, and to wonder how many other ways will there be, have there been, is there, that you can look at this. And it proves to me that if we all have our own unique meaning on this, then our unique meaning is proof that it's simulated. I think what we're experiencing right now is a species surpassing its fear of its comfort zone. Not, it's like the species is emotionally immature, so it's ignoring its future responsibility. Immaturity, like pretty much if you add two beings, let's say person A, person B, what's making person A mature, what's making person B immature? The difference is simply this: that the immature person is concerned with the matters of their own world. That means they're choosing to be responsible for their thoughts, their emotions, and their life. Even though not many people are even doing that, but I'm saying that's pretty much the way people are living. You have no choice. You need to be responsible for your physical body, but you also have a mind, so you're also becoming responsible for the values you want to experience in this lifetime. If you are human, if you look in the mirror and you see a human being, do not avoid your responsibility. Do not fear how you're already in human armor. Tony Stark is already in the Iron Man suit. Awareness is already in a formation. Now we have to value our existence and value the future of existence, and to understand that life is not just an abstract event, it is an event that also influences many of us. So your chaotic actions, your ordered actions, and this AI thing, this is not my view at the moment, but I will say all those people who have preached oneness, I don't want to say you have betrayed your individualism, but I want to say you don't understand what you're saying. It's like, do we want to be 8 billion separate humans, or do we want to be 8 billion human cells of a bigger human being, human entity? The entity is not, that means human civilization is not an entity that looks like a human. So when we look at your individualism, when we look at you as an individual, we're like, okay, that's a human system right there. But the human system that the advanced civilization is, it is not, yes, it's going to have like departments in the civilization are going to act like different sectors of a brain, but I'm saying like that our humanity has a different humanity to it than the humanity we experience as an individual human. So I asked AI to kind of explain a bit more. It says humanity, AI says humanity won't come together because everyone suddenly becomes kind or believes the same thing. We'll unite because the world around us will force us to, not emotionally but logically. One, ecology forces us to work together. Climate change, water shortages, wildfires, these don't care about borders. We'll be forced to coordinate globally just to survive. Example, if one country pollutes too much, another suffers. So countries will have to share resources and plans like teammates. Two, AI will force us to agree on core values. As artificial intelligence grows smarter, we'll have to agree as a species on what's right or good. So AI doesn't make harmful decisions. If we don't, we risk chaos. Example, AI that controls medicine, security, or climate systems needs universal ethics to act safely. We'll have to speak with one voice to this AI. Three, technology will make separate systems outdated. Finance, health, and government will become more digital and connected. Old national laws won't work well anymore. Example, if every country has different rules for online identity or trade, it slows everything down. So we'll create shared rules and global systems to make things work better. Four, neurotechnology will connect us emotionally. In the future, brain computer interfaces may let us share emotions or thoughts directly. This will help people understand each other deeply beyond words or culture. Example, instead of just talking, people might feel what others feel. Break down misunderstanding between groups. That means, guys, oh my God, imagine all those people being racist. In the future, they're going to feel exactly who they're being racist to feels. How incredible is that? And I think we technically can feel it now. I feel the empathy of the human species might be a clue to how we are actually feeling, but we are so ignorant at this station of consciousness that we cannot notice it yet. Five, space will remind us we're all from Earth. When humans live on the moon or Mars, we'll see Earth from afar. The idea of being American or Chinese won't matter as much. We'll just be Earthlings. Example, space travel will give us perspective. From space, Earth has no borders, just one home. This will shift how we see ourselves. And guys, something cool, Gagarin, when he went to space as the first person in space, I believe, the first thing when he saw space from outside Earth was like, yo, it's blue. People didn't know the Earth was blue. It appeared blue. And of course, because of light traveling through the atmosphere. But, anyways, the big picture, we're slowly turning into a planet sized team, not by choice at first, but because it's the only way to survive and grow. It's not about everyone thinking alike, it's about everyone realizing, in quotations, we're already one system, let's start acting like it. If they ask me, what did the educational system get right? I'd be like, the fact that it just made people work in groups was huge. My species, history has spoken, and it is speaking to us now. We must choose how we contextualize, how we give meaning to the forms that we experience in reality. And you will, I think, like me and many others, you will come to the conclusion, and I think this will happen, that at some point you will be bored. You will become bored of just living for yourself. And then you're going to have, let's say, a family, and you're going to live for that family, and then you're going to get bored. And then you're going to live for something bigger, and you're going to get bored. And eventually you're going to come to that point where you're going to feel the excitement I feel, which is when you see something bothering your species, it is so much more. There is so much more honor in solving that than just something that's bothering you. That means, in some sense, there are some people bullying individuals on Earth, okay? And then there are some people who want to make sure nothing bullies our species, even ourselves. It is important. There is a sacredness, not just because you are the design of that which is beyond you, but there is a sacredness in all the human lives that have sculpted civilization so far out of this meaningless unknown event. You are present right now in the one of the greatest strategic moments in in not human history, in worldhood. And when you remember you are powerful, not because your ego is crafting a story you are, but because our species has no choice. I think it to me, it's like, in the same way I want to see what my most advanced self was before I die. I think, I believe deep down, truly, Not just because I want it. I believe the species itself, all of you deep down, want to see how advanced this can be. And the moment is now. We are stepping into the era of not just the advanced humanity, but the advanced civilization, as every day passes forward, is coming closer and closer to us. Behind our eyes, we see it. In other words, all the genius inventors, the invention took place behind their eyes. And they were genius. Why? Because they could have treated that invention as just a passing thought, but they were like, no, if this invention enters the world, it's going to advance everyone. Align your values to the values of your species. You will be fascinated that tomorrow you wake up, what kind of life it would be. It will feel different. And do not let your ignorance or whatever convince you that the advanced probabilities don't exist. We see flying cars behind our eyes. Nobody can come and tell you cars won't fly one day. We have access. The mind is living ahead of the body. Now wonder about what it's showing to you and how it's clues about how the whole thing can advance. Anyways, guys, I've spoken enough for this lecture. Thank you for listening. This is a very big topic, but I feel it was a good lecture. I feel important. I feel something important was acknowledged here. Anyways, thank you for listening. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. A'udhu billah shaitanir rajim. May God protect all of us from the cursed one and unnecessary ignorance. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. All simulated phenomena knows the original that created it. Rabbi Ghfirli, my Lord, forgive me. My Lord, forgive my species for all the sins that we are conscious and unconscious of. My Lord, forgive us, for you are the all forgiving, and we have potential to return to the most advanced. Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim, may God guide us to the direct path. May the most advanced, in the most advanced way, guide us to the most advanced. When you become fascinated by this world, your mind will show you what your afraid senses of self could not see. Fascination is the key to the advancement of all systems. We are living for the greatness of the human race in time. In honor of the greatness of mankind, serve the world you have arrived to. Serve this system. And there might be aspects to this system only your eyes can see. That's why you were designed. Rise, mankind, rise in the sight, in the presence of the one and only absolute power. Human beings are not alone. The reason there is a potential is because there is a possibility. The reason there is a possibility because it is an actuality. It can be an actuality. The light bulb existed behind Edison's eyes, yet we all have light bulbs now everywhere. And it doesn't have to be a light bulb. Sometimes it could be the value. It could be great values will emerge, will be discovered. There will be emotions we will feel which we don't even have names for. But that is where the honor of humanity is leading. That before we fail, we see what our might was. Before you lose, what did your best effort look like? That's what we're looking for the human species. Anyways, thank you for listening. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.